So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this first one. I'm going to do part A, and you can follow along with part A, and then I'm going to have you do part B on your own, and then you can watch the solution. So first thing I want to do is I want to set this up in polynomial long division. Okay. Now I'm just going to walk through this process here. I want to know, what do I have to multiply times x to get an x to the third? I know that I'm going to need an x squared. Now here's the thing, if you recall back to our long division, when we wanted to find out how many times 25 would go into 30, we said one time, we put that right over the 0 and the 30 so that the 25 and the 30 would match up. The same thing has to happen in the polynomial long division. If I'm multiplying x times x squared, I need to put that over the x squared term so everything lines up. So now what I'm doing is I'm distributing this. So technically this is x squared times x plus 2, which is going to give me x to the third plus 2x squared. Now that's going to go right under here. It's going to go x to the third plus 2x squared, and we'll put a line underneath that. Again, if we go back over here, we got to remember that we're going to subtract that term from the given information. So I actually have to subtract this whole thing. Now, technically, we're going to distribute this negative, so I'm not going to write it like this. I'm actually going to come in here and subtract both parts. When I do that, x third minus x to third cancels out, which is the desired effect that we were looking for. And then we're going to have negative x squared and negative 2x squared when combined together gives us negative 3x squared. Now, just like in the previous problem, how I had to drop down the next term, I'm going to actually drop down the negative 2x, and I'm going to start this process over again. So what do I need to multiply times x to get negative 3x squared? Now at this point you may be thinking to yourself, well, I need an opposite. I want to do an opposite. But really, since we want to subtract the whole thing, we're going to get an opposite by subtracting it. So I really want to find out what I need to multiply to get exactly negative 3x squared. So I'm going to multiply this times negative 3x. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 2 is negative 6x. And of course, if I subtract that whole thing, that makes both of these positive values, and the 3x squareds cancel out, and that leaves me a positive 4x. Lastly, I got to drop down the term of 8. And then I need to decide, what do I need to multiply times 4 to get 4x? So I'm going to multiply a positive 4, so that's going to give me 4x plus 8. And then we're going to distribute a negative, and that's going to leave me with a remainder of 0. So in this particular problem, the answer is going to be x squared minus 3x plus 4, and we have a remainder of 0.